Welcome back to the podcast, Catch It, A New Perception. My name is Ketuk. Looking forward to how this moves forward. Even though we don't have very many listeners at this point, in each episode it seems to be a few less this season. And that's okay, because more than anything else, I do this episode, I do this podcast, and I do all of this for myself. Not in a selfish way, it's all about self-care. What I'm talking about is being able to move forward and know that I will benefit from the things that I do because of the image I have of myself. And the line I was thinking about today, each line that I've talked about up to this point this season has been a line from a song, as some of you may know, some of you may have recognized, some of you maybe not. Some are definitely more obscure than others. And none of them are really from pop songs today. And they may go back a little ways, up to maybe 50 years old, at least one of the songs. Some of them a little newer than that, some of them 30 years old. The line I was thinking about today in this song, I say this because I've had a lot of thought about not continuing the season like this, trying to do something different again, and I'm not sure if I do another episode with a line from a song. Part of the reason is because I need to be able to figure out what benefits me the most and other people could benefit from changing their perception. How is it that we're changing our perception? What is it we're doing? Is there certain action that we're taking where it is working to continue to change our perception? For me, it is. There are actions, and one of them is the consistency of this podcast. And the idea of being able to be authentic, even though I don't reveal a lot of necessarily details about myself in this podcast. I've thought about revealing some more details. I haven't made a decision to do that or not do that necessarily. At this time, I probably won't. And I hope that as these benefit you, that you share more and more of these episodes with other people. And the reason that I say that is because I think if it benefits you, it could benefit someone that you care about, a friend of yours, somebody in the family you love. I don't know. Whether it's a child, whether it's a parent, whether it's a sibling, whether it's a friend. Somewhere along the line, I believe that other people could benefit from this, other than just the people that specifically listen to a certain episode. I think about the lines that I've used in the songs so far this season and how some episodes are very few views on it. Like people don't necessarily need to hear my point of view of that line, maybe taken out of context, maybe just blowing up a little bit. I get it. Sometimes this podcast is about the esoteric. Sometimes it's about the spiritual. Sometimes it's about the practical. It's about being able to take a line out of a song and grow from it somehow inside of us. Like we can change something inside of us. Maybe it's something we don't agree with inside of us. Maybe it's something that we want more of. Maybe it's something that we want to leave behind. The line that I think of today, you're living up to someone else's image of yourself. You're living up to someone else's image of yourself. If this is still true, when do you begin to live up to the image of yourself? Your image of yourself, not someone else's image of yourself. And the reason I say that is because I think that like when we're young, maybe when I was a young lad, when we're younger, we often get to a point where we realize we've been living up to the image of someone else, whether that's our parents, our grandparents, childhood friends. We show them what they want to see. Not everyone is guilty of this. I get it. At least I don't believe that everyone has done this. I think a lot of us have. And I think that we need to get to a point where we know that we can live up to our own image of ourselves. Be authentic, in other words, within that. And we did it on the playground when we were kids. We did it when we were in our home with our siblings. And it's like what they think we are is what we're going to show them. Some people will use the term a chameleon. And I think it's good that we can show up in different ways at different times, in different places, in different ways, whatever that is. I say that because when I show up at work as an entertainer, I show up in a certain way, I show up to a certain group of people, and sometimes I am living up to someone else's image of myself at that point because this is what they expect of me. Whether that's my employer and the people that I work for and the company that I work for, or the people who come for the entertainment. I get it. It still happens at times in my life, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. To understand that I need to be authentic when I'm with myself, to not be living up to someone else's image of myself. Authentic to the point where I am being true to myself and who I am and what it is I'm doing and how I'm doing it, how I'm showing up, how I'm talking to people, the terminology I'm using. There's so many ways that we can learn how to do things different, how to see things different, how to see ourselves different, how to be able to come to a point where we know what it is we're seeing in an image of ourselves. At what point are we watching ourselves move through life and realize this isn't what we want? We've been living up to the image of someone else in all aspects of our life, in our personal life, in our work life. What steps do we take to change that? Now, for me personally, I've done enough work internally that I no longer need to feed that until I choose to. Like I say, working in the entertainment business, the company I work for, or the people that are in front of me, yes, I will buy into this, and it's not a bad thing. It pays the bills, and I'm able to do things like this, and I'm able to do some traveling, and I'm able to do some other things when it comes to speaking engagements, whether they're workshops, seminars, or other types of things like that, the volunteering I do. All of it is made possible because at certain moments in my life, I'm willing to live up to someone's image of myself, someone else's. And then I get to a point where I realize what's most important is that I don't buy into that so much that that's the only place that I exist. I need to be able to live up to my own image. And what do I want that to be? What do I want that image to look like moving forward? Do I understand that I can become a better human being than what I was, say, a year ago, last month? I think back to the fact I talk about working over the last 35 years to get to know my higher self. And now it's been more than 35 years and a very conscious time in my life, just after the new moon of the spring equinox of 1990. I made a decision to make some very definite changes in my life, and I've followed through with some of those. What I like is the fact that over the last 10 years, I believe I've done maybe more growth than I did in the first 25 years. And it seemed like at first, leaps and bounds, those first couple of years, like I made so many changes and I was doing so many things different, and there's no way I could change this much in the future. And then I get to a point where I realize I have changed more recently. more in the last decade. Becoming conscious of what it is I'm doing. And maybe it's been a little more than a decade. I don't know what year I started doing a formal meditation. I don't know what year I started doing yoga. I don't know when I started making some of these practices that make my daily life and the people around me better off. When I live up to an image of myself, that means I become a better father, I become a better grandfather, I become a better husband, I become a better brother, a better son, and better in the sense of being present when I'm there, being tentative to who's in front of me, being a better friend when I'm there, allowing my image of myself to be what it needs to be for me to be content. I know a lot of people think that laughter is a really great thing, and that laughter is like one of the greatest things you could have. We must laugh in life, and I get it. I do like to laugh at times. I find so much joy in contentment. Being able to live within the grace that I've been gifted from the Creator. I believe that that is the image of myself I'm looking for, is to live within that grace, to know that I'm grateful for the things I have and sometimes grateful for the things I don't have in my life, to not take things for granted, to not take people for granted. I may talk more about this in a future episode. I was taking a couple of steps. There was about a half dozen steps as I walked down. I was over in the city and I'm walking down a half dozen steps, and I'm very conscious at that moment of taking those steps and how all of that is so subconscious. Walking down steps. The effortless talking in the language that I speak today. It's very much easy to take for granted when it's subconscious. Do I want to do that? Do I want to take the image that I have of myself for granted? What is it that I want to understand going forward? How do I want to see it? Now, my image of other people is individual, and then that image of someone may change even though my relationship hasn't changed a whole lot. How often does that happen for me? Some people think I'm the same person I was 30 years ago. Some people think I'm the same person I was 40 years ago. Some people think I'm the same person I was 10 years ago. I'm really far from that. Their image of me is one thing. That does not need to dictate my image of myself. You're living up to someone's image of yourself. Are you? That, I think, is a question. I like to ask a lot of questions, and I know I didn't in this episode. I talked a lot about the way that I see things moving forward in myself, in the image of myself, and how in the future I'm going to be able to become more conscious of the image of myself. And through that, do I change what other people's image of me is? Certain people that knew me 30 years ago think I'm always going to be the same. I could even say something they've heard me say, and I mean it in a totally different way, and they've never even understand that because they still have the same image of me from 30 years ago. That's okay. I don't mind. Take me at face value. Don't take me at all. I'm good with all of it. Looking forward to next time. Live in harmony with and use the bounty of the land to bring kindness to the world. Dok Shao, okay?